Hi, my name is Stu Gallup. I'm Vice President of Operations with Mark Andy Print Products. We're a distribution company that is based in Des Plaines, Illinois, and our focus is on the printing industry. So our parent company, Mark Andy, is in St. Louis and manufactures all of our printing presses for the printing industry. And our focus is the distribution of the daily supplies that are used in those printing presses. It's a very transactional business. Whereas the printing presses are a capital part of the business. You buy one printing press every 10 years for a lot of money. The distribution side and the supplies, you're buying every day, and it's a very transactional business. So we had at the start a 128,000 square foot distribution facility, and we were focused on manufacturing and distributing our supplies from there. With parts of our landlord redoing the lease, we had to reduce our size. And so we were getting rid of about 35,000 square feet of distribution space. We had been in that space for well over 20 years. So as you can imagine, we had lots of things all over the place. We did a lot of things the way that they just were always done. And so what I was looking for was a way to clean everything up, start fresh, as well as reconfigure everything into this new space that was going to be about 30,000 square feet less than what we had. All at the same time, I couldn't stop my existing business. I needed to continue shipping product. I needed to continue taking orders. And again, we were doing probably about 300 orders a day. And so that had to keep up at the same time as we were reconfiguring this warehouse and also wanting to optimize it. And so I knew at that point that I couldn't do that alone, and I couldn't do it while I was doing my main job, which was running the operation. And so I started to look for companies that could help me in reducing the footprint and reconfiguring as well as optimizing, basically giving me the best practices of what were in the industry. Because again, we had been doing it for 20 plus years, and we'd only been able to see what we do, not really what the best of the industry does. And so as I looked at companies, I wanted someone who wasn't just an educator or someone that did things conceptually, but I was looking for a company that actually was in distribution before the people were in distribution. They had to make their living basically the way that I did. And that's really what I enjoyed when I found Alpine. Alpine really brings to the table real world experience. And that's what was a big factor for me. They were in my shoes. They had run operations. They had optimized and chosen companies to optimize their operations before they were Alpine. And that was, again, a very big part for me. I didn't want just conceptual things. I wanted things and people that actually made things work or had to do it before. And that's where Alpine really shone through. The various people and the subject matter experts that Alpine has really helped us in many ways. My original goal was just how do I reduce my square footage? And what started to come out there was, as they were looking at my operation, realizing that there were probably things that we could do better regardless of whatever size we were. We could put things in better spots. We could have better flow of our picking. We could have a better layout of our operations. And that's what I was blind to. I just assumed that the things I was doing all along were always right, and I just wanted to make a smaller footprint. What Alpine really showed me is that there are some better ways to do things. And not only did they give me the insights on how to do those things, they also did vendor management. So they put me in touch with vendors that specialized in cuba scanning all of the materials so that we can get a good weight and a good dimension for every product so that we knew where to put it. Instead of just using a tape measure, they had state-of-the-art opportunities that allowed us to use technology to better utilize the size and the weight of the products that we have so that they could then take that data and then they could analyze it and they could tell me where is the best place to put the products in the facility. Where's the best place to have a pick flow? Do you start from the left or the right? Do you go high? Do you go low? Do you have hand pick locations? Do you have overflow locations? All of those things, which again, I had just done it the way that I had always done it before. They gave me new, fresh ideas on how to optimize it. And again, the most important part of what they brought was that they were doing a lot of this for me and project managing it. I did not need to be able to do that because I needed to run my operation. And so Alpine was there to work with the vendors, to be on site when a vendor was there, to do all of the architectural drawings, the layouts, work with the racking suppliers, work with the conveying suppliers, so that everything was in place. It also put all the onus on Alpine that they had to get it right, because if something wasn't done correctly, I was going back to Alpine. I wasn't going back to all of these other vendors. And that's what I liked, that I had one focus of responsibility. I went back to Alpine if there were any questions, anything that needed to be taken care of, and they handled it right for me. One of the benefits that we realized from having Alpine help us move the facility and reduce part of it was that we had a lot of efficiencies that we realized after they helped us relay out the facility and heat map everything, where the best place to put a product was, where the most popular picks were. We started to realize that we were able to pick things faster just by its nature without implementing any other picking technology. We were able to pick things more accurately because in our relaying out of the product, we were able to put names and dimensions and things that allowed our pickers to make sure that they were picking the right product and have less mistakes from it. So there was just this, I would call it this organic optimization that we just realized just because we started to do things a little bit better in all aspects. Alpine really allowed us to see that questioning everything that we were doing and saying, do you have to do it that way? Is there a better way to do it? And just through our moving of the facility, these little things started to come about. Should we lay out our packing line differently? Should we move it over? Should we put it closer to a point of use for something else? All of these things just started to come out through our discussions. We were discussing about moving the facility, but as we did that, all of these concepts and ideas are what Alpine really pulled from us. So again, not just being a company that did the specific things that were being asked, they did things that helped us just because of their knowledge. And they were bringing information to us every time. You could do this a little bit better. Here's a best practice. Here's what I've seen at another facility. The fact that Alpine has done so much with so many people in the distribution allows them to see people that look like me, people that did look like me, people that look different than me, and put all of those things together so that we could have the best in class. So again, I was able to take all of the things that Alpine knew and understood and do that. After we had completed our first project with Alpine, some other benefits started to be talked about of things that we could improve in different areas that we had. We were starting to look at some 3PL locations around the country to help us get product closer to our end users. And since Alpine had done such a great job in helping us consolidate the facility, I worked a lot with Alpine to help them identify and vet a bid process for identifying 3PL locations, worked on vetting those 3PL locations for me, and then ultimately helping implement those 3PL locations. So again, not a project that was hands-on in our facility, but then being a consultant with the best practices for 3PLs that allowed us to implement 6 other 3PL locations around the country. That then led us into a third project. Now that you have 3PLs, you also now need to look at your transportation. And so again, we leveraged Alpine to help us put together a bid, help us distribute that bid, and then vet the suppliers in that bid for a transportation management system. And not just for the 3PL, but allow them to do that for all of our operations.